Good afternoon, Rumblers. This is Tate Brown here holding it down for Tim Pool. This is the afternoon hour of the Rumble morning lineup. Once again, holding it down for Tim Pool. Should get him back Monday. I just got that update, so I think we'll be ready to rock. So this is probably the last time you'll be seeing me for a while. Knock on wood, we can get Tim back here. Today we're gonna do a deep dive on the Minnesota shooting. I mean, obviously it's been all over the headlines. And rightfully so, people aren't really interested in talking about much else because this issue really does hit at something that people have been sensing for a long time. So yesterday on the show, sorry, I'm just adjusting the mic here. I think we're good. Did I break anything? No. Okay. All right. Yeah, I just tend to break stuff all the time. These things happen. Yesterday when I went live at noon, I mean, I was going into the story with virtually no information. I mean, we knew that there was a shooting, and that was basically the extent of it. So, I had more of a non-confrontational sort of disposition because I didn't know, what was going on. Same with, the elected officials. They hadn't really spoken or said much about it. Well, 24 hours later, a lot of the things that I suspected have came to fruition. I didn't want to, pontificate yesterday, but unfortunately, the left is evil and they cannot help themselves. So again, nothing new if you've been around. But yes, all this to say, we will be doing a deep dive on the Minnesota shooting, the targeting of Catholics in Minneapolis. With that, before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Once again, it feels a little weird sometimes with the sponsors of stories like this, but these are what enables us to do reporting here at Timcast. This is how we are able to provide sort of updates for you guys. We do have here Cask Brew Coffee. This is, fantastic stuff. We have our Appalachian Nights blend, very popular blend. Ian's Graphene Dream. I've said it before. We had these live events a few weekends back, and people were big fans of Ian's Graphene Dream. It flew off the shelves. So head on over to caskbrew.com if you need some coffee. Great stuff. We also have Boonies. This is fantastic boards. Even if you're not a skater, if you're just interested in the culture, these are great, wall ornaments, that sort of stuff. But fantastic stuff. We have a lot of, obviously, Timcast is nothing without skating. It's very integral to the project, what we're doing here. And Boonies is a vital part of that. Like I said, you have the Declaration of Independence board, the Uncancelable board, the 28th Amendment board, the right to have chickens. Really great stuff. So head on over to shop.boonieshq.com to get you some boards. And at the half-hour mark, we will be joined by Naomi Best. She is an expert on this sorts of things. She's been going to war, so to speak, with the woke, trans, whatever you want to call it, ideology in the therapy world, and the mental health world. She's fantastic. You guys are really in for a treat. So stick around for that interview at the half-hour mark. But with that, let's get into our first story. This is the first, I say the first piece on this story. We're going to really go into it here. From the Post-Millennial, and this is the initial identification: Annunciation school shooter identified as trans-identified male, Robin, in quotation marks, Westman, quote, kill Donald Trump, written on the gun. The suspected shooter who killed 2 children and injured 17 other people at a Minneapolis Catholic church on Wednesday morning has been identified as Robin Westman. That is the name that he LARPs with. His name is Robert. This is per reporter Carol Markowicz. The suspect identified as transgender, and court records show that Westman's name was changed from Robert to Robin as a minor. There's a photo of this individual. This was from Nick Sorter. We saw this yesterday. This is really when the information started coming out. Once again, this was after I had gone live, so I really didn't have access to any of this. This is from Nick Sorter. Robin Westman, previously Robert Westman, the Minneapolis Catholic school shooter, was a man who identified as a woman. So, man. Trans violence must be addressed now. He began identifying as trans as a minor, and his parents signed off on it per court records. His name was Robert Westman until 2020, when he changed his name to Robin Westman. And if you've been following the story, Robert would have been a minor at the time. You can see here on this paperwork that Nick has. This is a granting name change of a minor. And if you know anything about anything, you know that minors cannot legally do this without the oversight of a guardian. So it should come as no surprise. His mother signed off on this. So we'll get into that as we get into this story further. Kirsty Noem obviously confirming that it was a transgender shooter. It was a man, a mentally disturbed man. And so after this occurred, after the shooter was identified, a lot of information, the manifesto, this guy published a video, all this stuff, this came out pretty rapidly. This was yesterday afternoon. We'll get into the story here. A since-deleted YouTube account under the name Robin W. posted numerous videos in the hours leading up to the shooting. In one video, the user showed off weaponry and gear that had writings on it, including the phrases, "Where is your God?" "Kill Donald Trump," and "I'm the woker baby, why so serious?" Other phrases included, quote, "Burn Israel," and you can read that here. That's just, really grim stuff. 6 million was not enough. That was written on the gear. In the same video, the user showed a target that had Jesus on it with, quote, "He came to pay a debt he didn't owe because we owe a debt we cannot pay." So just psychotic. As Charlie Kirk said here, just psychotic, manic, whatever you want to call it. I think already, just right off the bat, we have producer Serge in here. I don't know if this will make it to YouTube. We're already
I think
deep here.
I think it's just the video.
Yeah.
If you don't show the video, it's probably all right. I
Okay.
mean, the images are everywhere. It's gonna be really hard to police that on YouTube altogether. So
Sure.
just say as long as we don't play the video, we're cool.
Just let me know if something takes off.
course.
We're on Rumble, so Rumble obviously.
Right.
If you want to get to the bottom of these types of stories, just stay on Rumble. We can clean up anything, I suppose.
Yeah, true. YouTube's the one that has a problem with it.
Right. So we'll clean something up if something happens.
True.
But we really would. There's a lot of people that say, well, why you're giving this guy what he wants by pushing or publishing or whatever, you're giving exposure to his stuff, his writings, his videos, or whatever. And to an extent, I do feel like this is the only way to truly to shine an example on how deranged the LGBT movement has become, is by shining a spotlight on it. Really, I genuinely think that, because I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of this situation by just pretending like there's no ideology attached, like there's no motive. I think that's really important, because I think that's how you can identify one of the many reasons why there's so much instability in the United States and why America's youth are so disturbed. I think this kind of stuff is actually important to see, because it kind of hits you in the face of what's going on. Greg Price shared here, the alleged shooter of a Minneapolis Catholic church posted a deranged YouTube video before the shooting showing Jesus on a target board, as well as the weapons he used, which said things like, quote, "Where is your God? Kill Donald Trump. Why so curious?" And then this was from the YouTube video. Peter J. Hansen with the tweet here. Hassan with the tweet. A YouTube account under the name posted 2 disturbing videos this AM that included threats against Trump. Again, a magazine titled "I'm the Woker," a sketch of a church, and a picture of Christ on a paper target. The paper target thing is especially disturbing. I mean, I'm a devout Christian, but I think even if you're not, I think you can see the derangement of someone that would do such a thing. Specifically with this here, it'll probably be broken down in a further article. This was in his video. He sketched out the Annunciation Church, the church that was attacked, and he had a knife out and he stabs the photo with the church in it, which is just, insane, horrifying stuff. Another portion of the video showed a letter to family and friends, which began, "I don't expect forgiveness and I don't expect any apology. I have to hold much weight, but to my family and those close to me, I do apologize for my effects my actions will have on your lives. I was corrupted by this world and have learned to hate what life is. Life is love, life is pain. There's too much to accept, too many things to put up with just to live. I'm tired of the pain this world gives out. One passage read. Another passage read, only recently have I lost all hope and decided to perform my final action against this world. I don't want to kneel down for the injustices of this world. I want to die. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, constantly in pain. And then this was signed with his fake name. Robin was, not going to be on his gravestone, with the dates 2002 through 2025 written next to it. So obviously this is someone that is completely deranged. Someone, I talked about it yesterday, and this was very accurate, is the high proportion of people in the United States specifically that have nothing inside of them, that are a void, an empty void, a vacuum. Their soul is a vacuum. And quite frankly, have nothing to live for, have nothing to lose. This person, Robert, is sort of the epitome of this, right? This is someone that, if you go through all of these memes and jokes and, winking and nodding on all of the gear and everything, this is just, Shane Cashman put it really well, this is just a shrine to chaos, I think was the specific wordage he used. This is just someone that really is nothing, is just nothing. There's just a body. And the only utterances that come out of this body are things that he read online, jokes, and that's the only way he can communicate any idea, is just regurgitating a online meme. We'll get into that a little more once we finish up here, because this is a really important piece of the puzzle as well. Per Alpha News' Liz Collin, Westman's mother once worked at Annunciation as a teacher, but retired a few years ago. So you see here, Robert, obviously, but yes, his mother was formerly a teacher at the school that he shot up. So we have here, obviously, this, yes, okay. So this was from the New York Post, where they get a little more into the manifesto. Minneapolis school shooter ID'd as trans woman Robert Westman. And as a parent, manifesto included, quote, kill Trump. Obviously, that's a headline that's going to grab a lot of people. There was a lot more written than kill Trump. Obviously, that's horrible and demonic. This is from the New York Post. There's some photos and whatnot. This is some interesting stuff here. In one 20-minute video, Westman flips through the disturbing handwritten manifesto. Much of it is written in a homespun code that uses Cyrillic characters and English phonetic words, which is just very bizarre. This is just very bizarre stuff. Once again, the only adjective that really springs to mind that feels accurate in this situation would be demonic. Genuinely. But demonic feels like you're selling this short, because the reality is there's a lot of Robert Westmans out there. There's a lot of them. Robert is just the one that snapped. But we live in a society we live in a country that's on the brink. There's Robert Westmans everywhere, and it's just part of the horror of modern American life is that you're just waiting for one of these guys to snap. That's the reality. They are going to snap, and it's just a matter of, do they take only themselves out, which occurs quite frequently, or do they take other people out with them, which happens again frequently. I'm laughing because of the how insane and dramatic it is, but it's true. It's just people. These guys are just snapping on a daily basis because, like I said, they're just deranged. They're just deranged. I mean, someone that wants to tamper with their own genitals, you're already mentally compromised, right? There's no way around it. No one that's wanting to do that to themselves is going to have any stability whatsoever. It's just not going to happen. So we have here. Sorry if I'm not in the shot. Tim's really good at staying centered at all times. I'm not so much. Westman applied to change his birth. We know this. Here's some really weird quotes. I don't want to dress girly all the time, but I guess sometimes I really like it. I know I'm not a woman, but I definitely don't feel like a man. So it's these people, they're just and then they're getting they have these ideas, and then they get upheld by society. They get gaslit by society that this is fine. This is a perfectly natural thing. Again, I'm beating a dead horse here, it feels like, because it seems like the majority of Americans are on the same page with the trans stuff. Like I don't know if it's really worth litigating why it's insane, because we all kind of know, right? Everyone kind of knows. Everyone knows what's going on. It's just there's a vocal minority that wants to continue this experiment, presumably because they hate God. That's the only thing that really comes to mind. The New York Post explains here, Mary Grace Westman worked as a secretary at the school until retiring in 2021. This is from the manifesto, quote, "I am feeling good about Annunciation. It seems like a good combo of easy attack form and devastating tragedy, and I want to do more research. I have concerns about finding a large enough group. I want to avoid any parents but pre- and post-school drop-off. Maybe I can attack an event at the on-site church. I think attacking a large group of kids coming in from recess is my best plan. Then from there, I can go inside and kill, going for as long as I can." So obviously beyond premeditated here. This is more of a fantasy, which is just absolutely insane that this is occurring, and that we can get insight into the mind of someone like this. It's really nothing. There's nothing really valuable from the insight, because the overwhelming majority of people cannot even conceptualize putting themselves in this guy's shoes, because his brain just functionally is broken. We'll take a look here at some of the photos that the New York Post has collected. Obviously, this was what I was talking about earlier, where we have the sketch of the church. The New York Post says here, he then takes out a knife and stabs into the center of the sketch, his hand momentarily quivering before he withdraws the blade and quietly mumbles, quote, "Kill myself." Here is this is a screenshot from the video showing the contraband that he's using. And you can see here some of the scribbles. Once again, this is just someone that is a void, that is a husk of a human being, something that resembles a human being but isn't quite there. You can see here with just some of the jokes and memes that are written on the contraband. "Where is your God?" And then "Suck on this" was written. "F everything that you stand for." The big one with a trademark symbol next to it. And this one, "Fart," and then the N-word, which just kind of shows that this man has been buried under so many levels of irony, because he really has nothing. There's nothing going on inside of him. Like, irony is really the only sort of expression that he can express. We'll read a little more here. In a video titled, quote, "So long and thanks for all the fish," Westman slowly turns the pages of the red notebook, which is laid out on top of what appears to be schematic gun diagrams, one of them reading Ruger Mark IV, a type of small caliber pistol. As he flips the pages, an occasional plume of smoke is seen from the bottom of the screen, punctuated by coughs, disjointed cursing, and maniacal giggles. Each page is filled with inscrutable, handwritten doggerel. Wow, New York Times getting very Shakespearean here. Which includes violent ramblings such as, quote, "I have had thoughts about mass murder for a long time. I am very conflicted while writing this journal. I need to get my thoughts out there without getting on a watch list." More and more here. You kind of get the idea. I mean, I did promise a deep dive, but you can really only handle a certain amount. I couldn't. The video that's being discussed here is now everywhere, but I've only been able to make it through like a few dozen seconds, because there's just a certain level of, without getting too esoteric here, a certain level of energy that I don't think is tolerable for an extended period of time. I think it makes you quite sick, unfortunately. It's what it does to you. I'm not saying someone is sick for watching. I think it makes you feel quite ill. And Again, there's nothing of value really there beyond, the journalists, there's a lot of criticism of journalism, but to be fair, they've combed through the video and they've put all this stuff here. So, you don't have to watch the video. You can kind of just get the idea from this. But you see here there's just irony. There's just bizarre memes and jokes and irony. None of this is genuine. I don't think anything Robert's ever done in his life is genuine. But you see here just jokes written all over, bullets. And then this was the video, and then gun magazines were scrawled with "For the Children" and quote "Kill Donald Trump." So kind of to touch on the problem with the memes and the whatnot, this was put really well. This was by a poster on Twitter, Bumbadum. He put it really well. Confirmed that Reddit and Discord are essentially breeding grounds for global trans Satanist networks that create mass shooters. Shut them both down. It's very true. These two websites have become, they've become just hives of villainy, a den of jackals. The amount of, whenever you see a news headline begin with Reddit or Discord, the headline usually never ends without someone getting groomed or whatever. It's just the way it is. And it is breeding grounds for these kind of jokes. I mean, if you know what this is, this joke, it's such a Reddit joke. Like, it's just an eye roll. Just very, very many layers of irony occurring here. And then, so, we can kind of get into his compatriots, who there's a lot of them. There's a lot of Robert Westmans out there. It's just not all of them have snapped yet. You're going to see the other Robert Westmans on full display. This was a poster here, Mr. Obvious. The trans radicalization problem is worse than you could ever imagine. I don't even think there's a radicalization. I think by default they're just radicalized because they're going to war with God. It's a losing war, but they are attempting to do that. And you see here, I'm not going to read any of these. You can see them. Essentially, these are just these Redditors blaming, they're celebrating the slaughter of these Christian Catholic children because they're Christian Catholic conservative, presumably, broadly conservative. So, like this post right here. Am I supposed to feel bad that rich Christian kids are gone? The trans community will not die laying down without a fight. Future religious extremists dying isn't a bad thing. So these people just have a chip on their shoulder. And this is why I said it on Twitter yesterday, and I did get a little bit of pushback, but I think generally, like I said, most people are kind of on the same page nowadays with this stuff, is the LGBT movement broadly, including everything. Every letter I'm including in this is fundamentally anti-Christian, because the Bible is very clear in its condemnation, and the Christian priestly class, again, broadly speaking, is quite critical of the LGBT agenda. So it's not really a surprise that these people just flip and celebrate the death of Christians, because for them, in Western society, the last thing standing between them and full acceptance of the trans ideology are Christians. You can see this statistically. Christians are the last bastion holding back this tide of anti-human, antisocial slop. So this is what the future of society will look like if Christians sort of decline, which I don't anticipate happening anytime soon. But this is why they're so angry, because Christians are the last thing holding them back from total domination. We have a few more stuff here. I should have gone a little quicker. We're running a little low on time until we get to the interview, but we'll get going here. I'll blast through this stuff because you probably saw a lot of it. Here's J.D. Vance. He's commenting on the left-wing politicians attacking prayer, which we see here with Jen Psaki.
And all they should be hoping to do is have someone to sit with at lunch or someone to play with on the playground. And they should be waiting to hear an update when they get home. And that is not what these parents at the school experience today. Sorry, this is a tough one. Having your child killed while they are sitting in a pew for a morning prayer service is not what any parent should have to worry about. And I have felt a mixture of anger and a lot of anger and emotional exhaustion about this today, as I'm sure many of you have, because we have been here so many times. And yet again, like clockwork, half of the politicians in our country have little more to offer than thoughts and prayers. That is.
So obviously she's blaming thoughts and prayers. She's saying thoughts and prayers are not sufficient. They don't do anything. She doubles down on it here. Prayer is not freaking enough. Well, the problem is we do have proposals. We have actually a very simple way to end this. There's actually a very, very easy, with the sign of a pen, you can end this by outlawing transgenderism at every aspect of public life. That would end this tomorrow. And that is our proposal. So if you're going to reject that, then we've provided a solution for you. That is the solution. So yes, we have thoughts and prayers, and those do go a long way. Those work. But we don't act like we don't have a solution. You just don't like the solution. Your solution is to, violate people's rights and strip away the Second Amendment rights from normal people that aren't hopped up on hormone-changing drugs and SSRIs. They'll defend the Second Amendment rights of Robert Westman, but they'll be the first to take yours away. No question about that. Jacob Frey here, just lunatic.
And I have heard about a whole lot of hate that's being directed at our trans community.
So obviously the real victim of this story is not the Catholic children who were slaughtered in their pews while attending morning mass. The victims are the trans community. So if I get this right, because this happened in Nashville too, when the Covenant, the Presbyterian school, was shot up, is what happens is a trans person will kill Christians, and the real tragedy of the situation is that the Christians have the nerve to be upset with the trans community, and I'm using that in quotations, for the hatred towards them is what the real problem is. And as you can see here, this is what you're dealing with. This is what the actual feeling among the trans, the hatred is really only going one way here. We just want them out of the way. We're tired of dealing with their nonsense. I don't really believe anything the LGBT movement has to say anymore, because they've lied at every step of the way since Obergefell. It's neither here nor there. This is in the USA Today from Bonchi Red State. USA Today refused to report that the Minnesota shooter was transgender, but somehow found a way to shoehorn a claim that ICE is causing attacks on the church into their article. This is with a quote from the USA Today. Religious denominations really being pushed to decide how open these spaces are going to be when you have threats of random violence or an ICE raid. So the threats of random violence, that's just random. It happens. These things are just sporadic. I don't know how these happened. But an ICE raid is very specific. So the left, they're still stumping for their speech, for their talking points. ICE is more of a threat than these drugged up people with guns. William Wolf put it really well, really concisely what's going on here. It's pretty simple. The left hates God, hates Christians, and wishes we were all dead. Never forget this. Once again, I can point to the proof, which is this reaction. Proof, Psaki, Frey, you name it, Democrat, they've probably said something similar, blaming Christians, thoughts and prayers, et cetera, et cetera. Orrin McIntyre, great solution as well, beyond banning. Michael Knowles yesterday called for a total ban of transgenderism from the public sphere, which is excellent, great policy. Another great policy from Orrin McIntyre. The Trump admin should be launching councils on anti-Christian hate, using the power of the government to pressure anti-Christian institutions, screening immigrants and deporting them for anti-Christian sentiments. It should be explicitly pro-Christian. Absolutely. That is the majority religion of this country, and our interests should be considered when bringing people into the country or in handling public discourse. John Doyle really put it succinctly here. Democrats honoring deaths of transgender Americans and a public announcement the same way a serious country would honor their fallen soldiers, or something makes sense when you remember how reliable they are at harming the most hated enemy of the regime, white Christian children. Absolutely. There is one group that will never be given, they'll never say stop, you have to stop Asian hate or Black Lives Matter. There's one group that will never be pitied or coddled, which is white Christians, specifically white Christian children. Whenever they're shot, it's just a footnote, and it's just random violence, like the USA Today said. Will Chamberlain put it really well here. If you don't give trans people hormones, they'll shoot themselves. That's a common tactic deployed by trans people or trans lovers, whatever you want to call them. Well, he put it here. Well, if you do give them hormones, they shoot young Christian children. So once again, this is why I say we're just kind of tired of listening to them. We're tired of giving them credence tired of giving them the benefit of the doubt. They just lie. They lie about their intents in every step of the direction, every step of the operation. So yeah, I think people are fed up. And the Trump administration now has the mandate to put an end to this garbage, to put an end to the garbage, and the Supreme Court as well. Thank you for watching this segment of Timcast News. We'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. for Timcast IRL. We also have an interview going up at 4 p.m. on the Culture War with Naomi Best. It's a fantastic interview. I'd encourage you to watch it. Thank you for watching.